Good morning, beloveds. There we go. Okay. Uh, I'm sorry. I'm like rushing this morning. I work out with my husband and I now work out with a personal trainer on Wednesdays. And I also, yeah. So, it was like, rush home, do what I needed to do, jump in the shower, come do this, go to work. When we go back to in-person services on Wednesdays could be really long days, but that's okay. They'll be good days. So it is February 24th. Our title is I Open Myself to Greater Love. And our Bible quote is, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. 1 Corinthians 13:1. All right. Love is more than a sentiment. It is a need, a hunger, a thirst that is perfectly natural. Anyone who thinks he can live and be happy without it does not know what he is talking about, psychologically, emotionally, or spiritually. Love is the beginning and the end, the impulse in nature that will not be denied. Let us think back beyond the individual to the source of all life. I believe that the whole universe is the givingness of the creative spirit to the delight of its own being, into the creation that is itself in that creation. Love is the principle of life, for it is the nature of everything to give. Only the one who loves so much that there is no longer any room for hate will ever arrive at the place where, if there may be hate, he will never know it. We are afraid of greatness because we are so tied down to littleness. We clutch the littleness anxiously and jealously, but so precariously to our hearts. It is essential to see beyond the littleness to something bigger. None of us is as perfect in expression as we ought to be. So the challenge to each of us is to be great enough to rise in love, in charity, through understanding and compassion. Love is the lodestone of life. I respond lovingly to all persons, recognizing that the spiritual life is the real life. I surround myself with love, the key to joyous living. And I'm left with, what the heck did I just read? Oh, all right. I mean, the title makes sense. I open myself to the greater love. And there may be a little bit of the difference between what Western considers love and what Eastern considers love. And I know I've talked about this before, but we, in the West, we use the love objectively. We love the object of our love is exactly that. It has to do with what it does for us, which is why we love people, because of what they can do for us, and why we love things, because what they can do for us, be that image or whatever. I'm thinking about like how we love our motorcycles. It's not a bad thing that we love our motorcycles, but we love our motorcycles for how they make us feel. And frequently that's how we love people, because of how they make us feel. And the Eastern, they have different words for that. The Eastern word for love is reserved for subjects. And subjects have their own thoughts and feelings and have their own existence, whereas objects exist only in relation to us. So when in the Eastern mind, when they talk about love, then we might consider what they call love to be tough love. It's like, because I love you, I'm going to make a decision that is in your best interest, not necessarily in my best interest. Now, do not get me wrong, here in the West, we absolutely can do that. But the problem is we have diluted the idea of love, because we love objectively rather than subjectively. And love is really about the relationship between the two subjects. I should just write a book about it. So when I open myself to the greater love, that's what I'm talking about. I am talking about subjective. It's not about what that love does for me, but it is about how I interact with that love, with that relationship, and it can be wonderful and it can be terrible at the same time. I got nothing when it comes to, hey baby, Hayes is in here. I don't think you'll get to see him, but he's in here. I got nothing on that Bible quote. I got nothing on that Bible quote. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. It's from 1 Corinthians 13:1. I suggest go look it up and see what the context is. As Reverend Norm likes to say, read the line before and the line after. And that'll give you an idea of what the Bible quote is. Because frequently, that's one of the things we do, is we take Bible quotes out of context, and they don't mean what we think they mean. So, all right. First line is, love is more than a sentiment. Love is a verb. Love is an action. It brings me back to that song from Extreme. Yes, it is an 80s hair band. More than words. If I took those words away from you, how would you show me that you loved me? Or how would I show you that I loved you? And it's something to think about. You know, it's like, go back to the 5 love languages. What is your love language? You know, is it acts of service? Is it words? Because I get the feeling that Ernest's was acts of service, which is why he says love is more than a sentiment. It is a need, a hunger, a thirst that is perfectly natural. Perfectly natural. Anyone who thinks that he can live and be happy without it does not know what he is talking about. Psychologically, emotionally, or spiritually. I mean, he's right. There's all kinds of science on love. And as an anthropologist, yeah. And the terrible things that we do in the name of love. To ourselves and to other people. One of them being, you probably didn't hear him, but Hayes just ran in here, it said something at my feet, and then ran back out. And he takes a medication. He hates the medication. So we normally give him a gel in his ear. Well, there was a storm. We ran out of the gel, and not the vet, but the company that provides it to my vet screwed up. So he's been getting a pill. He didn't like it, but it's gotta happen. And I do that out of love. Love is the beginning and the end, the impulse in nature that will not be denied. It is part of creativity. That is the creative impulse to create is love. It is. And so when you are creating, whatever it is that you're creating, artistic wise, you are expressing love. And I don't know that you've ever considered that, but maybe you should. Let us think back beyond the individual to the source of all life. I believe that the whole universe is the giving of the creative spirit, to the delight of its own being, into the creation that is itself in creation. So it's Brahma playing with Brahma. It is the all playing with the all. It is the all having an experience. And we get to have that experience with the all, through the all, in the all, as the all. Just not all of it at once. Love is the principle of life, capital L, for it is the nature of everything to give. And honestly, animals, if you look at the way that they love, they don't equivocate. They do. They don't consider whether or not they're worthy. They do. You know, that's us. And yes, we can make them neurotic. But they just do. I mean, can you get any purer love than a dog who keep coming back no matter what happens? Cats are a little more finicky, but they love, and they love in ways that you wouldn't expect. So, the only one who loves so much that there is no longer any room for hate will ever arrive at the place where, if there's hate, he will never know it. That's the saints. if you know anything about the saints, where they walked into the room and their consciousness was just at a level that any hate directed at them, they just didn't see. I would say that they were aware of hate directed at others, and they went out of their way to intervene because that's part of what made them a saint. But what was coming at them, they just didn't see. Or they recognized it for what it is, generally insecurity on the part of the person. We are afraid of greatness because we are so tied down to littleness. It's not that we're not powerful, it's that we are afraid of how powerful we are. We clutch the littleness anxiously and jealously, but so precariously to our hearts. And one of the things that I know about that is, like, if you've got something clutched in your hand, then your hand isn't open to receive more. It is essential to see beyond the littleness to something bigger. We're invited to let go of our littleness, because until we let go of our littleness, we'll never be anything more than we are. And yet, we have a divine spark within us that is the seed of so much more, that indicates that we could be so much bigger. What does that mean? Fame, fortune? No, that's not what it means. It's not about that. It's not about stuff. It is about consciousness. It is about kindness. It is about compassion. It is about love. Are we a place that people want to come? Do people want to be in our presence because we are a soft place to fall? That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about stuff. And if you become a soft place to fall, sometimes stuff follows that. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not what we're talking about. None of us is as perfect an expression as we ought to be. And Ernest rarely says things like that. Ernest rarely says ought or should. But basically what he's saying is we don't express our wholeness. And we don't express our wholeness because we're afraid. We're afraid of being rejected. We're afraid of failing. We're afraid of succeeding. None of us is as perfect of an expression as we ought to be. So the challenge to each of us is to be great enough to rise in love, in charity, through understanding and compassion. That's where our greatness lies. Our greatness lies in being able to walk into the room and look at every person in the room and see God looking back at us. To look at the people with the eyes of love, even when they're behaving badly. Now, if they are behaving badly, we can still look at them from the eyes, with the eyes of love, from a distance. We don't have to put ourselves in proximity to them. We just have to know who they are. Just like it behooves us to know who we are. Children of God. Love is the lodestone of life. And if that word doesn't mean anything to you, lodestone is just another word for magnet. The more loving we are, the more loving we will attract. And the best place to start is loving ourselves. I respond lovingly to all persons. That's a challenge. Recognizing that the spiritual life is the real life, not the material life. Yes, we get out, we go and we do, and we move through this material life. But that's not where the reward is. Stuff isn't the reward. The love is. And loving yourself, biggest reward out there. I surround myself with love, the key to joyous living. All right, our mission, should we choose to accept it today? Ugh. Well, I know what mine is to respond lovingly to all people. Not always good at that. I can be sarcastic. Our mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to let go of the littleness. To let go of who we think we are and to recognize who we are. To recognize that at the center of our being is that love with the capital L. And to let that flow through us. That is our mission today. And as always, to do something loving for ourselves, to do something kind for ourselves, to do something compassionate for ourselves. If we're going to practice love, the best place to start is with ourselves. Because practice makes permanent. Practice makes whole. And practice, it's what we get to do every single day. So, do something loving for yourself, whatever it looks like. If it is creating art, if it is resting, if it is going and looking in the mirror and telling yourself that looking in your eyes and telling yourself that you love yourself, and then practicing it on everybody that you encounter today, you know. But and I just disturbed a cat out of the window. Go figure. Do something that engages your mind and your body today. As the weather is going to cooperate, maybe open your windows. But definitely open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you that you do live in heaven now. Because you are a beloved child of God in whom Spirit is well pleased, always and forever. That is the state of grace that we live in. And I'm going to say that every day. You are a beloved child of God. And at the center of the being, the center of the God qualities, that's love. And it doesn't look like what we think it does, because it's not about looking. It really is about feeling. And there's so many ways to express love that we've forgotten. So go find it. Go find a way to express love in a way you haven't done in a while. All right, beloveds. I'm going to move into the process of my day. I've already had a full morning, and now I'm going to move on. So drink plenty of water. Open your windows. Get a fresh perspective. Do something for yourself. All right? Do what you need to do to make it a wonderful day.